Hey everybody, welcome to the Creativity Cave. I am so excited to share with you this adorable little box. It's a matchbox that when you open it, there's a fun little treat inside. And on top of the box, there is a fun little surprise too. It creates a little easel box, or an easel top, I should say, so that you can display this on your desk or wherever it might cheer you up. So I think it's super cute too. Let me show you how to put this together. It's really easy. In fact, if you want to cut your supplies right away, you can follow along with me. So to start with, I'm going to need a 4 by 8.5 inch piece of Poppy Parade, and that is for the wrap that goes all the way around. Okay, that's this piece. You're going to score it at, these are right. I had the wrong dimensions at first, so I do have the wrong dimensions on here. That's why. Let me write them down. Okay, so it's 4 by 8.5 inches. I didn't write that 8.5 very well. For the wrap. And then you're going to score at 1.5, 2 1/4, 5.5, and 6 1/4. Okay, so you'll score at all of those places. You also need a box bottom. Okay, it's going to look like this. And to create that bottom, what you're going to do is start with a 4 3/4 by 5.5 inch piece of paper. Okay, and then what I am going to do is take and just trim a sliver off of that. And I can't remember if I've done that already on here. Yeah, I think I have. Now, if you look, it's like less than a 1/16 of an inch that I've actually cut off. It's a teeny little sliver. And that little sliver is going to allow your box bottom to fit in and out of your box a little easier. So for instance, on this one, I did not do that, but it's a little bit tricky to get open. So with this sliver, it'll be a little easier. Now you're also going to score this piece at 3/4 of an inch on all the sides. Okay, so I'm going to do that right now. Notice I'm using this mark right here for my 3/4 inch line rather than this mark, because I can put my cardstock up against that nice flat edge and make sure I'm getting a good straight score line each time. So I'm just going to go on each side like this. And then we're going to form our box bottom. Okay, and then after that, I'm going to list the other pieces just so you can see what they are, and then we'll put everything together. All right, so that was this piece. We'll get this post-it on this piece. And then for my card, and the card is this piece right here that opens. That is going to be a piece of Pool Party, which is 3 7/8 by 6 1/4. You're going to score it at 3 1/8 and 1 3/4. Now that 1 3/4 is what allows the easel to stand up like so. Okay. And then I also have a layer of cardstock, which is 3 by 3 7/8, and a piece of printed paper, which is 3 inches squared, and 3 inches by 3 inches. And all of these pieces will, of course, go to decorate our box. So let's go ahead and put it together. First of all, I do need to score this one yet. So we're going to score that at 3 1/8. 1 3/4 and 3 1/8. 1 3/4 and 3 1/8. This is why you learn fractions in elementary school. Okay, so my first score line is just basically folding this in half. And then the second score line is folding it so that we can create that easel. Now on every single one of the folds that I'm doing today, I want to make sure I really burnish it with my bone folder. All right, so we'll do that on here. We're gonna really, oh, and you know what? I bet we could probably take a brand new piece of cardstock and do this. Okay, so if you've got your pieces cut, if you stop the video and cut your pieces, let's go ahead and score this together. So I've got this at 1.5, 2 1/4, 5 1/2, and 6 1/4. And that 6 1/4 is just the line that's right on the edge of your trimmer. So they got that 6 1/4 inch line in there for us, which is great. Okay, and then just like before, we're gonna fold on all of those sides and burnish, burnish, burnish. Really nice and get crisp lines. Okay, now we also did our box bottom. We already scored that, so we want to do two things. First of all, I'm going to take my scissors and just snip on the line on one of the two corners, not both, just one. So I'll do that here, 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 and here. And then what I'm going to do is on the square, not the rectangle portion, but the square, I'm just gonna go in like a 1/16 of an inch and make a little snip. Okay, so again, not this part, but the square part is where I'm making that little snip. And what that does is it helps my box fold up a little neater, especially if you had any like cutting errors, I guess. If your piece isn't exactly perfect. Okay, so then just like before, I'm gonna burnish all of those fold lines because I wanna get really nice crisp folds so that my box is nice and square and comes out just how I want it. Like so. Okay, now the last thing I need to do to finish my box bottom is just glue those little square flaps to the inside, and for that I like to use liquid glue. I think it stays nice. It does a good job. Now I'm not putting a ton of glue on there, but I'm getting glue, kind of good coverage of glue. I do see it squeezing out just a teeny bit here, but we'll take care of that. I'm not worried about it. It dries clear too, so that's always a good thing. I just want to make sure those box edges are nice and squared off. I actually think liquid glue works better than tear and tape for the most part, so that's why I like to use it. I think it holds up just a little better. And the other thing I really like about it is it gives me a second to reposition should I need to. And yes, I have gotten glue all over myself, just in case you were wondering. Okay. Now, oh, darn it, I did forget to do one thing, but I can actually still do it. So before I glued all those pieces, I wanted to do one little thing, and that is add a piece of ribbon. So I'm just gonna fold over a loop. This is like maybe 2.5 or 3 inches long at the most, okay? I'm folding that little loop over, and I'm actually gonna staple it to the bottom of my box. And what this is doing is creating a little pull for opening the box so people know to open it. Now, I'm gonna bend my box just slightly to get this to happen. Like I said, this is good to do before you glue your box together, but I was able to get the staple in there okay. So that's just my pull. All right. Now the other thing I wanna do is I wanna put my wrap around the box. And I find when you wrap it around like this and then adhere it, you get it to just the right kind of dimensions. Now, because we did this little ribbon, you might want to put a piece of Scotch tape over that, and that'll let it kind of adhere to your card a little bit better as well. Okay, so I'm just going to adhere this flap with some liquid glue. Okay, and again, I want to make sure, now I don't want it to be super tight because I want my box to be able to open. So that's where it's kind of nice to be able to put your box in here, get a feel for how it's going to go. And that will open, so that's good. And we'll just give this a second to really dry and hold up. All right, now let's work on the rest of our box, the card portion of our box. All right, so I have my card piece, which is going to be glued right to the top of my box and on the wrap portion. And then I have a little layer that's going to go here. Now, when you're putting this onto your box, you want to make sure that you are not going to glue this whole panel, because otherwise the easel part won't work. You want to only glue the bottom panel. So I put my adhesive right on here. And that ensures that I'm not gluing the wrong part. Believe me, I've done that before. Okay. I'm just going to center it on here a little bit. And I'm also going to adhere my little panel of printed paper. Because it's super cute. Okay, and we'll put it up so you can see like that. All right, we'll do the part that holds the easel up in just a little bit, but here's the side view of that, because sometimes it's a little weird to think about. Okay, now we need to decorate our Santa, so let's go ahead and do that next. And if you have to eat one of the treats along the way, that's okay. I've got a scrap of Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to stamp my Santa. This is from the set So Santa. It's so cute. It's got Santa doing all kinds of fun stuff. And in this case, Santa's at the beach, so I'm totally down with that. I'm going to find my black ink pad. Oh, it has gotten away from me. Hold on. Here we go. I'm going to stamp this in black Memento ink on, like I said, on a scrap of Whisper White cardstock, like so. And I'm eventually going to punch this with my 2.5 or 2.25 inch punch, but I find it's a little easier to color it first while it's still on the whole piece of paper. I'm going to use my Stampin' Blends for this, and it's pretty easy. I'll start working with some crumb cake. I want my light crumb cake. I'm just going to kind of do the bottom here of sand. And I'm going just a little beyond the little marks on here, so it looks kind of natural. I'll do that little starfish in the light pumpkin pie. Okay. I'm going to do next the skin tone in ivory. And so I'm going to go up here, and don't forget his ears. Don't forget his fingers. And of course, his legs. And then, of course, because our Santa is indeed wearing a swimsuit, we've got to do his chest also. I think this is so funny. Okay, so there's Santa, all decked out. Now, his pineapple glass is actually in Dark Daffodil Delight. Pineapple Punch, we do have a blend in that color, but actually I think that's more of like the inside of a pineapple, not the outside, so we're going with it. Next, I'm going to take my light Poppy Parade, and I'm going to color several things with this. I'm going to start with the little poinsettias on his swim trunks. And I will tell you, these are pretty small, and I'm going outside the lines a little bit, so be careful. I'm also going to do the little umbrella. Oh, I missed one over here. There we go. And then I'm going to do every other line on the surfboard. And I'm going to skip an extra line and we're going to leave that white just for fun. I actually did do that on purpose. I didn't just miss the coloring. Okay, there we go. I think we've got everything there. Then next, I'm going to do the light granny apple green. And for this, I'm going to do the other stripes. And then I'm also going to do the background of his swim trunks. Now, I pretty much copied the coloring that was in the catalog sample for this because honestly, I just wasn't sure what to do. And so I think it's important to use that catalog as an example. Now, the holly leaves I'm going to do in the dark granny apple green. And then I'm also going to take my color lifter and kind of go a little bit on his pants in the background and just lighten that up just a touch. I mean, it's not doing a ton, but it will sort of lighten it a little. All right. Next, I'm going to take my dark pool party marker and I'm going to color the little straws on my drink. And then from the sand up, I'm just going to go up a little bit like this. And then I'm going to take my light pool party marker and blend that up even further. Kind of up to his armpits. Okay. And that kind of just sets the background a little bit. I can even go up just a little bit more. And then the other thing you can even do, I didn't do this on my sample, but I'm going to show you, is you can take your color lifter and kind of blend that color out a little bit so it's kind of subtle up here. Okay, so that sort of softens that line, but that really makes the image stand out, which I love. All right, next thing we're going to do is take a little bit of Clear Wink of Stella and add just a little shimmer. And this, let me get a better one. That one's kind of old and icky. So we're going to color in his mustache and beard, his little hair on the side, and then this one stripe of the surfboard. So I think that's kind of fun, just to add a little sparkle to Santa. Now I'll take my 2 1/4 inch punch and punch him out like so. And then we're going to put this on top of our card. I'm going to also add a little bit of ribbon. So to do that, I'm going to put 2 stripes of Fast Fuse, and I'm going to use my circle punch as my guide here to do my ribbon zigzag, because you know this is like my favorite thing ever. Okay, so now I know I have about that much ribbon that I need, and we'll fold this zigzag back on here. I like doing this behind, you know, kind of up in the air so I can get the zigzag width, basically the right width that I want. And then I'll just tack it down onto my card. So we've got that. Then the last thing I'm going to do is pop this up onto my card itself with some dimensionals, and then we'll assemble the entire box. So I'll put a dimensional up here on the top and on the bottom, and then it'll fit right over like so. Isn't that awesome? Okay, now to finish up our box, we've got our wrap, we've got our base. We'll put these in together. We've got our box top, which I will put adhesive on. Get a good amount. It's not thick, it's just real skinny, but I'm covering lots of that space. And then we'll center it up on our box perfectly, like so. Now there's one cute little step left. I'm going to take a little scrap of 1/2 inch white cardstock. I'm going to take the sentiment, and there's a whole bunch of sentiments in the stamp set to choose from. I'll stamp it in black ink right here, and then with my triple banner punch, I'll punch those ends. You know I like doing that. Okay, so I'll pull this one through because it's too long. I'm just going to punch like so. Now this piece I'm going to pop up as well, although you don't have to pop it up, but I think it helps if you pop it up, and then you will rest your easel on there. Okay, so basically what I like to do is kind of see where I want it to sit and then place it down, and then my easel will rest right on there, and then when it's done I can lay it flat. So isn't that adorable? Now don't forget to put some treats in here. I've got this package of jelly beans that I can fill this up with. I got these green ones because they can go for, oh look, I think I might have too many. Ooh, one more escaped. I probably have to eat that one. Anyway, isn't this a fun treat? And it slides really nicely after we cut that little skinny strip off of our base. So I hope you love this. Give it a try. It's really easy. And thank you so much for stamping with me today, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.